Prop 25 ends our right to put up bail for anyone, even though they may have been racially profiled. Prop 25 replaces bail with computer algorithms. Academic studies show that these algorithms are biased. Some call them black boxes. And Prop 25's new bureaucracy delays justice for innocent people stuck in jail. The NAACP asks you to vote no on Proposition 25.
Broadcasting live on the Ops Lens app, iHeartRadio, Mojo 50 Radio, and online worldwide at thepcradioshow.com.
Lots of big things coming up. First of all, the Red Wave Convoy is happening this Saturday. You're going to want to be a part of that. The Red Wave Convoy this Saturday at 10 a.m. That's October 10th at 10 a.m. It's hosted by the Minnesota Conservatives and Rocky Stucci Media. All kinds of information about this at Rocky Stucci Media's Facebook page. If you just get over there, Rocky Stucci Media. And they're being a little bit secretive about the details and when exactly and where exactly. Well, not when exactly. It's 10 a.m. sharp. So if you're late, the convoy is going to leave without you. But the exact where they're not going to do, because the last time that they did this, it was interrupted by protesters, by terrorists. And so, but we do know that it's going to be somewhere in the Lake Elmo Woodbury area. The route, they're not getting really specific about the route yet either, but they're expecting, Richard, 400 to 1,000 vehicles with Trump flags and American flags and just anything that you can do to outfit your vehicle to show your patriotism. It's going to be pretty awesome. Rocky Stucci Media's Facebook page. Are you going to be able to make it there this Saturday?
Regrettably not. I have military service duty this weekend.
That's right, yes.
But I was talking to Rocky about this. He's pretty excited. It's going to be pretty sweet, man. I can't wait. It should make the news. Hopefully it'll make international news, or at least the big national news channels, but it's going to be really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, so that is this Saturday, the day after tomorrow, the 10th at 10 a.m. sharp. And the details on this, by the way, will be released on Rocky's Facebook page tomorrow. So Friday the 9th, check back on the Rocky Stucci Media Facebook page. I'm sure Minnesota Conservatives will post it too. If you're a part of that group, great. If you're not, get over there. Minnesota Conservatives, I'm a part of that. We got to turn this state red. And, you know, Richard and I were working last night, and we were right in the middle of a riot. And it started, and boy, when it started fast. Unicorn Riot was down there. If you have them on your Facebook page, kind of a bummer that organization has to exist, but you know, it's there, and I guess it kind of keeps you in tune with what's going on. But we were actually on there. Our vehicles were in the background. We were so inconspicuous. They didn't even know that we were there, so there's no way the person that we were looking for knew that we were there. For those of you that are late bloomers, if you're just now joining the Relentless Truth Seekers squad here on PC Radio, welcome aboard. If you don't know what Richard and I do for work, we actually do fugitive warrants. We're bounty hunters, bail enforcement agents. And so last night we were working, and we were at well, I'm not going to say exactly where we were because I don't want to give away our tactics. But
good idea.
Anyway, we were right in the middle of at one point where this march went. For the most part, it started off pretty peaceful, as most of these things do. And then, of course, it turned violent, and then, of course, it turned into destruction. And then the Minnesota State Patrol came down, along with conservation officers, Minneapolis Police, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. They had a lot of mutual aid. And the thing that was different about last night is that all of the responding agencies, they really had their tactics in order to prevent mass damage from happening. The burning and the looting and all of that stuff didn't happen. No secret, Derek Chauvin has posted bail, $1 million. Derek Chauvin is out on bail. And, you know, we were talking last night. It's my opinion that, wow, man, you were a lot safer in there than you are out here. So it was surprising to me. I mean, where does a guy like that go? Presumably he can't leave the state of Minnesota. I mean, I would imagine that he has that as a condition. Where do you speculate this guy's going to go?
Who knows? I guess if it was me, I think that you're probably right. He was probably safer in jail than he is out on the street. But then again, try to tell that to a guy who's sitting in jail.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, if it was me, I'd probably find a cool little island down in the Bahamas, whether I can leave the state or not. I mean, I don't know. I think that it'd be my advice that you go and stand trial and have a jury of your peers judge you. But I don't know. I think like we were talking about, what do you do? I mean, he's being charged with some kind of tax evasion. He's got the George Floyd thing to deal with. His wife left him. His kids left him. He doesn't have a house. His cars have been seized. His bank accounts have been seized. What do you really got? Where do you go? He doesn't even have a dog anymore.
Even if he's not convicted of murder, which I don't know how he could be, given what we've seen, but even if he's not convicted of murder, certainly he has the tax evasion thing to deal with. And his ex-wife does as well. I mean, neither one of them were paying taxes. So that's going to be a tough situation. What do you do in life when you're Derek Chauvin, moving forward from here on? What exactly is it that you can do? I mean, you're never going to be a cop again. That's obvious. No, there's not a law enforcement agency in the world that is going to hire Derek Chauvin. That would be moronic. And even if he's acquitted, it's going to cause nothing but problems if that guy's ever wearing a gun and a badge again and seen on the streets. I mean, it's so clearly that's not going to happen. So when you go be a cop, and you and I have seen this with friends of ours, friends that retire or friends that get dismissed or are fired for whatever reason, or friends that leave the profession earlier than they would have liked to, and then they try to get back into the profession. It's difficult to do. But the thing is, when they say, well, I'll go work on hardwood floors, or I'll go be an auto mechanic. When you work in law enforcement, or when you work as a cop or bail enforcement or even security, when you work in a field like that, it's because you have a calling to serve. Security is typically used as a stepping stone. I thought bail enforcement would be too, but the freedom that we're afforded, the money that we make, and the fun that we do, we do real police work every day by going out and finding people who hurt people and taking them to jail. And it's something that the police just don't have the resources to do right now, and they're not spending time on doing warrants. So we go do it and we love it. But anyway, the people that we're talking, like we have a friend that's about to retire, and we know he just absolutely loves being a cop. What is he going to do? I mean, he's going to be very bored. I would imagine.
I agree. I think that he will be a part-time cop somewhere. He'll find a way to kind of nestle into some kind of police or law enforcement type part-time gig. Hopefully he'll take a year or, a little bit longer to just kind of enjoy the fruits of his labor. He's been working for years and years and years, I mean, but, I see it also in my own father, who was a police officer for 24-ish years. And he just, even to this day, he's been retired since 2008, I think it was. And I don't think he'd agree, but I think that he has a tough time sometimes, not being on the job, even though he'll say, well, I left at the perfect time and body cameras and tasers and all that other stuff. But deep down, he's a cop.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, kind of like, what do they say about Marines? Once a Marine, always a Marine. No such thing as an ex-Marine. It's probably quite the same with law enforcement officers. But, our friend, I think he's making the right decision. He's retiring previous to what his forecasted retirement date would have been. And that's as a result of admin not having the back of their officers. The police administration that has been completely politicized in major Democratic strongholds across our country has basically handcuffed police officers from doing their jobs. They're not doing the fun work that they wanted to do. Dangerous, yes, but for people that get involved with law enforcement, it's fun for them. And it's not because they're protecting and serving the shit out of people. It's because you're going fast, you're lights and sirens, you're helping people, you're tracking bad guys, it's the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the chase. It still does exist. And any officer that denies that they have fun doing their job, maybe now they would be telling the truth. But even now, I think that there's fun to be had, and good cops will find a way to continue to be proactive without getting jammed up. And I think that, he's one of those guys that you're right. I think what my prediction is, he'll go sit down for a while and he'll talk to us about how much he really enjoys it. I don't miss it at all. I would never go back. You couldn't pay me to go back. And I think you're right. It'll only be a matter of time before he's working as a part-time cop somewhere. But then, there's other guys that we have another friend that we were actually just talking about yesterday who left the job involuntarily many years ago, and he just cannot let it go. He cannot accept the fact that, look, law enforcement is probably just not a realistic thing for you. But when it pumps in your blood and it travels through your veins, and that sense of serving, calling to serve, just continues to be in you, and that desire to be a cop, I don't think that he'll ever lose that, and it's going to be really difficult for him to try to find something that makes him equally as happy. And I mean, that's just my opinion.
I liken it to soldiers, right? Like we were talking about Marines, but I liken it to Army soldiers, Navy guys, any military member. It kind of just becomes sewn into the fabric of who you are. And in some cases, in many cases, and I think partly for me too, it helps to define who you are, not only to yourself, but to the community around you and your family and your loved ones. And then all of a sudden one day, as much as you bitch about going to work, as much as you complain about this and that and the other thing, when it's gone, it's a hard thing to accept. And like, for example, this weekend may be the last time I ever put on a U.S. Army uniform, and it's been 19 years, almost 20 years.
Yeah,
I've been doing it, and it's kind of a bittersweet moment, but I also have some anxiety. I mean, I'm starting to sweat already just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But these things that you need to move on. Life doesn't end, but I will tell you, for the rest of my life, no matter how able or not I am, I'll always say, well, yeah, if a war breaks out, I'm going. I'll go. If they call me, I'll go. Well, I'll get myself into shape and I'll do it, and I'll do this and that and the other thing.
You may not have to even be enlisted for that opportunity to come up, and you'll probably be the former or the retired Army guy who's now part of the militia, a freedom fighter, if you will, and truthfully, you're probably not going to have to retire. If you see me keep looking up, I'm watching. There's some. If you're watching us, by the way, on the OpsLens app or on social media, and you're watching us do this radio show, here's the thing about radio. I've been doing radio for a really long time. I'm not used to people watching me do a radio show. So if you see me looking here and looking there and stuff, and it's not good for optics, well, you're just going to have to deal with it, because I got a radio show to do here, people. And the Relentless Truth Seekers squad is going to like what we have coming up. We have swag coming. And our store is about to be online. We have net gaiters coming out, because if they're going to make you wear something, and here's the deal. There are a lot of friends that I have. Matt Locke is one of them. He's a fellow show host here on iHeartRadio, Mojo 50 Radio, and on the OpsLens app. And actually, forgive me, he's not on Mojo. He's on the OpsLens app exclusively. But Matt Locke he's got a great show. I watch him all the time, and he's one of the guys that I will never wear a mask. We have several friends that I know that we will never wear a mask. And if we walk in here and they tell me I got to wear a mask, then are you gonna kick me out if I don't? Yep. Okay. Well, then I'm leaving now, and you don't have to make a scene. I'm leaving now, and I'll never be back. And that's your choice. But if you're one of these people where you just, like for me, for example, I've got 2 stores that I go to do grocery shopping for my family. And these are the only 2 places that I can get the things that I need to get. And they require a mask. So there's part of the suck it up thing. I don't know. It's kind of, I'm halfway on the fence with this deal. Do you stand your ground? And I don't believe in the mask mandates, and I'm not going to, these things scientifically, they're not proven to have stopped anything. And I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to stand my ground. There's guys out there, and for those guys of you that are doing that, and gals, hey, more power to you. I support you 1,000%. And by the way, I will never shame you for wearing a mask. I might laugh at you if you're alone in your car and you're wearing one, or I might laugh at you if you're jogging around Lake Harriet and you're all by yourself, or with your golden retriever and you're wearing a mask. Don't let that fresh air get you. I may laugh at you, but I will never shame you in front of you.
Right.
I might do it here on the radio. Show a picture of you, take a video, play it here, because, radio is now TV. So we might do that. No, I'm just kidding. I digress. But what I'm saying is, if you have to wear the damn things, at least get a message across. So we have some very interesting, awesome net gaiters coming out. And if you think that masks are as useless as your governor is, you're going to want us. If you think Chris Wallace is a dick, you're going to want our gaiters. There's a lot of them. I'm just giving away a few of them here, but we have coffee mugs coming as well. There's a lot of people that drink coffee. I drink coffee, and I do like the Minnesota Wild, so I do drink out of this coffee cup. However, professional sports this year, I haven't watched, Richard, 1 minute of NFL football. And you know me, you know that I don't normally watch the NBA anyhow. I'm into college hoops a whole lot more. They still have something to play for. They actually play defense. So I don't mind at all watching college hoops, but the NBA has never been for me. I've always thought they were overpaid thugs and prima donnas that don't play defense until it's, the championship, right? But I haven't watched 1 minute of NFL football, which I thought it was going to pain me. I thought it was going to be tough. I haven't missed it. I really haven't, not at all. And so I've also been able to do other things on Sundays, Thursday evenings, Monday nights that I normally would be on the couch or at a buddy's house drinking a case of beer, feeling like crap the next day. And I've been able to pick up a lot of projects and get those things done. Also, we're going to have a lot of shirts coming to the store. So if you are part of the Relentless Truth Seekers squad, pay attention. Yeah. That is going to happen upcoming soon. Also, last night's debates, we were doing surveillance. We were listening to the debates. We were kind of window to window a few times and discussing it, but the other times we were just listening to it. Richard, your take on last night's vice presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence.
Well, I'm not going to get into specific topics, but I think that Kamala Harris really just portrayed herself as the schoolyard bully, and her ways of laughing off the vice president and the lies that were told. I think after the debate, I listened to the breakdown and the lying about fracking and this and that and the other thing. And I think Mike Pence handled himself well.
Yeah.
He was calm.
What about this? I want to get your opinion on her eye rolling and her snickering and her head shaking and her head nodding and stuff like that. Do you think as a voter, do those types of things affect you either in a positive or a negative way? If you're an undecided voter, and you're not, so you're going to have to speculate, but how does that affect you when you're watching this and the camera, it stays on both of the candidates and you see her or any candidate doing that kind of stuff? How does that affect you?
Well, I think that it's Bush League, right? I mean, you're up for the second most powerful person in the world as a title, and you can't even have a civil, grown-up conversation. And I think that the Trump and Biden debate last week kind of set the stage, for how these two or how she acted. I think out of the four candidates, Mike Pence is probably the one that handled himself the best.
Pence did interrupt her on multiple occasions, just to be fair. She had to ask him if she would be allowed to talk on multiple occasions. And one that I don't have video here, I apologize for that, but the one that I really enjoyed was she said, "Excuse me, are you going to let me finish?" And then when it was his turn, like 20 seconds later, she then went ahead and started interrupting him.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what news network you watch. And by the way, you said that it was Bush League. I tend to agree with that to a certain extent. But if you're saying something and I don't agree with you, and we're talking in front of an audience of people, and you're saying something that's less than factual about me, it's frustrating that you have to wait for 2 minutes to say that. And then especially if it's at a point where you're not going to get the 2 minutes back to talk about that point again, because you're moving on, you're changing the subject. So I think
the last word.
She's very studied and she understands the debate format. She was a prosecutor. This is what happens in a courtroom. You argue back and forth. So she's very studied in this type of deal. Pence is also a very good orator. He actually had a career as a radio personality prior to getting into politics, so he knows what he's doing. And his cadence and his pauses and things like that. He's very, I'll go out on a limb here, very Reagan-esque, I think, for Pence, the way that he delivers. But going back to your Bush League comment, it affects me in a negative way to watch Kamala Harris do that, to watch her smile at him with her snide little smirks, to watch or to listen to her that it bothers me. It does. I mean, it makes me shudder, and it's probably because I don't like her. It probably has a lot to do with that. And the proof is in this fact is that when Trump does it, I like it and I laugh. when he says wrong, nope, that's fake, you're fake news. Those kinds of things, I think it's part of his character. It's part of what we've come to expect from Donald Trump, and knew to expect that before he ever even ran for politics, because that is who he is. Yep. And I think that that's a real testament to Donald Trump, because even though, look, I would rather you let Biden bury himself, because he's going to. And even though I agree that when you were interrupting Biden, President Trump, when you were interrupting Biden on stage, I was like, oh, why'd you interrupt him right there? He was just about to trip over his tongue and fall on his horse teeth. And so that part of it is frustrating. But we've come to expect that with him. And this was before he was running for politics. So
he did it on the Apprentice, same thing. So
if he's authentic, that says something about him. Yep. Whereas you have Kamala Harris doing it, she was a prosecutor who was single-handedly responsible for putting hundreds of black men behind bars for marijuana crimes to extended long prison sentences. She's now on stage as the vice presidential candidate talking about legalizing marijuana in favor of it.
Yeah.
So the hypocrisy is astounding, and it's right in front of your face. She cannot be taken seriously as a credible individual. She's a liar.
Well, here's the thing, man. More than anything, so when we talk about Trump and the way he's fake news and no, the thing I appreciate about him is that he always is who he is. You're always going to get Donald Trump. I think
that's what I was trying to say when I was stumbling and bumbling all over the place here.
Yeah, he doesn't change his spots. That leopard will always have the same spots. Doesn't matter if he's the president, if he's the owner of $1 billion agency.
Boy, do I like that.
The other thing that bothers me about them is Kamala Harris, especially, is who in the hell do you think you are? You're talking to the vice president of the United States of America. And part of the problem we have in this country is that people have lost the respect for others in positions of power. Mm-hmm. He wasn't born into the vice presidency. He wasn't just handed it wasn't just handed to him. He was voted in by a country of people that thought him and the president would be the best candidate to represent them and support them through all this bullshit we go through as a country.
Watch your mouth.
It's ridiculous to me that you can get away with just, undermining the title.
If
you don't have to like the person.
If you were in front of Vice President Pence and you were talking to him in a conversation, how would you address him?
Sir, Vice President,
Mr. Vice President, correct? I mean, if I was talking to Donald Trump, I would address him as Mr. President, whether I like him or not. It's not about having a respect for the individual. It's about having a respect for the institution. It's about having a respect for the office, the highest office and the second highest office in the free world. Mm-hmm. Indisputably, that's a fact. And you're right. Yeah. She and Biden were completely disrespectful.
Biden, shut up, man. You say to the president, shut up, man.
Yeah. Would you just shut up for a minute? And then this clown, he called him a clown. Really?
Yep.
It's the president of the United States. If you don't know, Vice President Pence absolutely slaughtered Kamala Harris in a debate last night by all senses of the word. There was even a Hispanic news network that put out there, who do you think won? They wanted their little, they had to have their little positive boost to their feels, And so a Spanish network puts out to all of their Spanish viewers, who do you think won this? And what was it? It was 70, where is it? I have it here. 76-24 in favor of Vice President Pence. So even the Hispanics that are supposed to be taken for granted, they're supposed to vote Democrat just because they're minorities. They're supposed to vote Democrat just because they're immigrants, just like Richard, because you're black, you're supposed to vote Democrat. And we're going to talk more about that. There's some things about that I want to discuss. It might make you a little uncomfortable, Richard, but listen, we are relentless truth seekers, and we're going to talk about it right here.
RTSS, bro.
The RTSS, the Relentless Truth Seekers Squad. If you are not a member, become one. I don't know if there's any official way to become a member of that. Just by being here. There might be an official group upcoming. I don't know. Maybe we need a Facebook group, the Relentless Truth Seeker Squad. Get over to Rocky Stucci Media's Facebook page. Get over there and get your details on this Saturday. That's going to be huge. More PC Radio straight ahead. Don't go anywhere. My name is Stu. That's Rich.
We will force votes.
We will not stop.
Any Republican senator is part of the cover-up.
What the f***?
Impeachment.
This is madness.
The PC Radio Show with Stu and Rich. Back in a minute.
Hey, it's Stu Peters and Richard Leonard for Law Dog Coffee Company. Welcome to Law Dog Coffee Company. Some heroes wear capes, ours wear a badge. Every single purchase you make goes to support law enforcement. So if you love the cops, if you support law enforcement, if you don't agree with defunding the police, if you want to make sure that they have good equipment, if you want to take care of law enforcement families, this is the only coffee that you want to drink. And not only that, their purpose is great, but the coffee is even better. You can sign up online very easily for freshly roasted specialty coffee to your door. You can choose weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly deliveries. Gifts and apparel also available. Law Dog Coffee Company, located at lawdogcoffee.com. Lawdogcoffee.com. That's lawdogcoffee.com. Use the promo code PC Radio for 10% off every purchase.
Prop 25 ends our right to put up bail for anyone, even though they may have been racially profiled. Prop 25 replaces bail with computer algorithms. Academic studies show that these algorithms are biased. Some call them black boxes. And Prop 25's new bureaucracy delays justice for innocent people stuck in jail. The NAACP asks you to vote no on Proposition 25.
Hey, it's Stu Peters with the Patriotically Correct Radio Show, here to talk to you more about Johnson Jewelers. I talk about them a lot. I talk about them because they're paying us to, but also because we have personal experience, or at least I do, with Johnson Jewelers. And if you have not had personal experience with Johnson Jewelers, it's because maybe that you were unaware, but now you are aware. And whether you're located near or around Woodbury, Minnesota is irrelevant, because Johnson Jewelers can provide service to you no matter where you are, globally, internationally, as well as around the world at johnsonjewelers.com. Maybe you have that old pendant or crest or stone that you want turned into a custom piece of jewelry. Maybe you have some jewelry that needs to be restored, or maybe you want something completely new made for you. You have something in mind? Just a quick visit to the website, a couple of phone calls, an email exchanged here and there, and you have the personal custom piece of jewelry meant for you. Visit them online right now, johnsonjewelers.com, johnsonjewelers.com, that's johnsonjewelers.com.
Twitter blew up.
More offensive than a presidential tweet.
Russia, China, Japan, Mexico, all countries will respect us far more than they do under past administrations.
PC Radio with Stu and Rich. Mojo 50 Radio.
Over 1 million listeners now on iHeartRadio. Mojo 50 is the station. OpsLens, make sure that you download the OpsLens app. You and myself are OpsLens contributors, now published writers. That's something that I never knew that I would be. I mean, I thought I was just bounty hunter for life, but you know what? Now I'm a published author, and you are as well. Published writers. Yeah. How about that? That's pretty awesome. You have a great new article, by the way. I really enjoyed the article that you wrote recently. If you haven't seen it, it's go to opslens.com, or you can also view it on our Twitter accounts, at Correct Radio, at Real Stu Peters, at Real Richard J. It's on our Facebook page, the Patriotically Correct Radio Show. It's all over the damn place, but you wrote a really nice article about what plagues America, and you believe that it's fatherless homes. I tend to agree with you. And so on and so forth. We were talking about something else during the break. What was it that we were just talking about? We were talking about
studio.
Oh yeah. We broadcast remotely. So I have a couple of studios. Richard has a couple of different studios, and we live on different ends of the city. But we were talking about moving into a studio with similar to like a Fox News studio. I would imagine it's going to be huge. It's going to be giant. We're going to have a news deck. We're going to have all kinds of contributors, people running around shuffling papers.
Yes.
But the most important part is what you mentioned during the break, which is having a
Wet bar.
A wet bar, man.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the coffee mugs actually that we have coming out for the Relentless Truth Seeking Squad is we have a coffee mug that says this might be bourbon. And so when you see us drinking our coffee, air quotes, you never know what it might be. Also, speaking of coffee, we are broadcasting right now live from the Law Dog Coffee Studios. If you get over to the PCRadioshow.com. Again, that's the PCRadioshow.com. The only coffee that we now drink is Law Dog Coffee. And here's why. Yeah. First of all, if you are part of the Relentless Truth Seeker Squad, you automatically get 10% off. And by the way, there's no process to being a Relentless Truth Seeker or being a part of our squad. Just by being here, you are already a part of it. And we appreciate you being here. So if you just go to the PCRadioshow.com or you go to our Facebook page, there's links in there for Law Dog Coffee. And if you just go straight to lawdogcoffee.com, then you have to use the promo code PCRadio in order to get your 10% off. But in addition to getting the 10% off, every bag of coffee that you buy goes to help law enforcement families. And that I think they divide up how they do that, whether it's the wife of a fallen police officer or whether it's equipment that police departments need. It's all on their website, lawdogcoffee.com. If you love the police, if you support the police, it should be the only coffee that you drink. Law Dog Coffee, Law Dog Coffee, Law Dog Coffee. It's great too.
The Warrior Blend. The Warrior Blend's what I drink. It's amazing. I love it.
I love it. It's not bourbon. It really is Law Dog Coffee. I'm telling you, Richard. Don't look at me like that.
I believe you.
You had a family member that questioned you recently about this radio show. And this person got on your Facebook page and said, please, Richard, tell me that you don't believe in this crap that Stu is spewing. Please tell me that you're not drinking the Kool-Aid that Stu is speaking. And to me, that was really offensive. And I think that is from a very shallow perspective. And the person that said this to you, I respect him. Okay, I do. And I want to get that out there. I respect him. I like him. I love golfing with him. I like going out to eat with him. I love hearing what he has to say. We can't talk politics because, we know where we stand, and I will never change his mind and he will never change mine. But what bothered me about that, Rich, was that the perspective that I think that's coming from is just because you're black, you are automatically expected to do a certain thing politically. And you can disagree with me on that. I mean, I don't know if that's where you think he was coming from or not, but that's the way that I took it.
Well, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I'm not offended at all. I was a little surprised to read his comment. But then again, I haven't had an opportunity to have a conversation with him. And when I responded to his comment and asked what comments he was talking about, he said all of them. And, it's been a long-standing deal in our family that him and I staunchly disagree on not all things, but most things politics. And I don't know. I was surprised.
The two most important things, I'm looking at a poll right here, coronavirus and the economy are the two most important issues for voters. We talk a lot about both of those things. I'm a firm believer that the free market ought to be able to do its thing in America. It's a proven success when you allow Americans to buy what they want to buy, to be able to make free choice about what airline they travel on, whether or not they travel, if they invest into the stock market, if they open a business, if they choose to shop here or boycott that, if they choose to keep their business local or support big business. That is when America is its strongest. There's no question that small business is the backbone of our economy. And so we talk a lot about that, which is another reason why I tend to lean more conservative. Conservatives are typically a whole lot more likely to support entrepreneurs and cut taxes to those middle-class business owners provide deregulation. I'm a big fan of deregulation. I don't like growing and oversized government. And these are things that he and I probably disagree on, because I think that he's kind of more for that governmental. I don't know if it's a control thing. I don't know if it's a safety blanket. I don't know exactly what it is that would actually make anybody want to be a liberal or a progressive for that matter. But I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is. And so when you get an answer, all of them, that's a very generalized run away from the facts. I don't want to have this conversation type position.
Yeah. What I can tell you that I do know about his political views is he is always very, very supportive of anything that helps the masses. So like Obamacare, in his opinion, was a great thing because now these folks that can't afford to go to the doctor and get care are going to be able to get care. And so when you say things to him like, okay, well, I can understand that people that can't afford it still need health care, but do you want to pay for it? And his response was, well, if I got to pay a couple $100 extra a year in taxes for homeless folks or mothers who can't afford to bring their kids to the dentist or the doctor, then I'll do that. Mm-hmm. And so I get that a little bit, right? Like, I don't completely disagree with that, but there's a lot of the tough issues are things that I feel like he doesn't really want to have a conversation about. And the conversation usually ends with, we're family. We don't agree. We probably shouldn't talk about it because we don't want to have that rift or that wedge in our family. We already have enough shit to worry about just as Americans and trying to navigate and survive in this chaos that we're living in. So.
Well, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of chaos going on.
Yeah.
And I agree with the fact that it's tough on relationships, especially as polarized as we are right now, having these conversations, whether it be with a friend of yours or whether it be with a family member. And sometimes you do have to agree to disagree. My brother-in-law, Mike, is a very sensible person. I like him a lot. He tends to lean a little bit more liberal. He's definitely a Democratic voter. My whole point is this. I think that this year's election is not going to be about who do you trust more. I think it's going to be about who do you distrust less. And I don't trust Joe Biden at all. There are things that Trump does that I don't like. And I've said that on this show 100 times. There are things about him that I don't agree with. Policy-wise, I don't agree with some of the things that he says or the manner with which he says it. But again, going back to this, he's authentic. You know what to expect from him because he's always been this way prior to even being involved with politics. And that is something that I can get with because I know he's predictable in the sense that I know where he stands on things because he's not shy about telling you. Whereas when you talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I cannot tell you how many different clips I have seen of people approaching Biden and people approaching Kamala Harris with cameras and microphones asking them, do you intend to pack the court? They will not answer the question. And that's because Americans already know the answer to that question. The question is, yes, they will. They absolutely will. And I'm not for that. I'm not for that at all. The highest court in the land is not supposed to be a mini Congress. The highest court in the land is supposed to be exactly how it was founded, a 9-member court of the highest justices that are going to rule on things like the election, rule on things like Roe v. Wade, rule on things, and so the abortion thing is really big for me as well. And these are the issues that I think it's really sensitive to talk about in any environment. There's the rule at the bar. We don't talk Jesus, we don't talk politics. Right? There's when you go out to eat with your family, or like the other night when I went out for the birthday party with you, with your family, probably would have been a bad idea for me to mention in front of certain people to just bring up while we're having our sushi, start talking about abortions. First of all, it's just not pleasant dinner conversation. And second of all, I'm not going to create that divide because I already know where you stand. Just like the fellow that we're talking about that commented on your Facebook page, I already know where he stands. Yeah. And I'm not really upset about the fact that he said what I'm not upset about the fact that he doesn't agree with you or that he doesn't like what your position is. What I take offense to, and what I think you should take offense to, is that he somehow suggested that you have the position that you have because of me.
Like I'm not a free thinker of my own.
Right.
Yes.
Like you're not capable of making up your own mind.
And I think that he thinks that, well, if you would really do your research and really do your searching and looking and reading and observing, that how can you have the opinion that you have?
Exactly, because you did your research. Right. There's no more research that I need than 47 years in politics doing nothing. That's a lot of research. That's 47 years worth of research. I'm less than that old. And so
not much.
Oh, come on. Yes, I am. I'm much younger than 47. But what I'm saying is I haven't been alive even as long as he's been in politics, but I can go and I can look on the computer and I can see what this guy has done. And there's not much there. And the things that he has done are things that I view as anti-American, in the sense that I truly believe that people should be afforded individual liberties and individual choice. They should have the right to succeed. They should have the right to fail. They should have the First Amendment right, no matter how offensive it is. Okay? Because just because your opinion might be unpopular with me doesn't mean that I don't support your right to say it. I'm going to argue with you, and if I think you're wrong, I'm going to call you out. And when I do call you out, I'm going to have circumstances, facts, and examples to back up my position. I'm not going to just say, I don't agree with you. Why? Well, because I don't. Or, well, what is it that you don't agree with? Well, all of it. That to me, that's just, it's a conversation that holds no weight. It holds no weight. And I just want to say that I think it's offended. It offended me with you being a brother to me. It offended me that somebody feels that you don't have the critical thinking skills or the sense of independent and critical free thinking on your own to come to these conclusions by yourself, but that it's because you're drinking my Kool-Aid on this show or in that truck when we're out working looking for bad guys, that you have somehow swayed or changed your position. To the contrary, one of the reasons that we became so close so quickly is because we are like-minded in that regard.
Yeah.
I support our military. You proudly serve in our military. You got almost 20 years in. And to me, it's kind of contradictory in my sense for military folks to be thinking like progressive radical liberals. That the two don't just really jive that well. And so maybe for those people, the military was just something that they did as a stepping stone to help them get through college or get an education, or maybe they needed the benefits, or maybe they changed their mind after they got out of the military, or maybe they changed I don't know. To me, it's a peculiar thing when somebody who's in the military is a liberal. But you see it at the Pentagon today. I mean, that Democrats run the Pentagon right now. So
there's a whole lot more of them than anybody would think. But I've never questioned anybody's motive for joining and enlisting in the military. Everybody has their reasons. I mean, to be completely honest, the whole reason I joined was because I wanted to finish my schooling, and I couldn't afford to do it on my own. And my parents weren't able to pay for my schooling or help me pay for it. I wasn't able to get loans that would allow me to have enough money to go to school. So I joined, and, I didn't even want to. I really didn't. I was pretty upset that I made the decision in the first place. Aside from 9/11, all the other factors that made up my mind to join. But once I got there, man, I'll tell you, I remember getting off that bus in basic training going, this is the biggest effing mistake I've ever made in my life. This is going to suck. What in God's name have I done?
I think a lot of people probably did.
Yep. And then 2 weeks in, once you get over the shock and you're not as sore as you are the first couple weeks, or at least used to be. I don't know if it's the same now, but I loved it, man. I loved the structure. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the brotherhood. I loved everything about it. You know, you got to be in the right place at the right time, wearing the right thing, and one fails, all fail type mentality. And here I am, almost 20 years later, and
doing a radio
over.
show, getting brainwashed by your partner, business partner. You know, and I'm sorry we got off track there, but that was something that I had to bring up, and it's been bothering me. And I don't think he probably listens to our show. He probably tuned in for a couple of seconds and went, whoa, left that comment and was gone. So I don't know that he'll hear this, but if you're listening, I just want you to know I respect you. I love you. I can't wait to have a couple of beers on the golf course next summer. But I will say that I think that you got to give Richard a little bit more credit. He's able to think for himself. Moving on, the deal about packing the courts, that was avoided by Kamala Harris. It's been avoided by Joe Biden, so we know where they're going with that. The other thing that I wanted to get back to was the debate itself and the weight that it holds in the upcoming election here in less than a month. Is it your opinion that a vice presidential debate would actually influence a voter in one direction or the other?
I thought about that yesterday, actually, when it was coming on the radio, and my thought at first was, well, not really. I mean, because what does the vice president really do? And I think for voters that aren't really into politics all that much, but they'll go and vote because it's their constitutional right, and it means a lot to be able to go vote. What was sacrificed for you to have that right? But I think in this election, it's super important because I don't think that we're voting with, the vice president in mind, other than there's a whole lot of speculation. And I think that there's a lot of truth to it personally, that Joe Biden won't be able to carry out his term in office.
Yep.
And if not, then that woman is going to be in charge. And if for whatever reason something happens to her, or she can't do it, or whatever the thing is, maybe she'll get COVID and be in a coma, and then Nancy Pelosi is our president. There's a whole lot of stuff that can go super wrong. So I think in particular this election year, yes, it should be something that you keep in mind when you go to the polls.
If she is under 49, she has a 99.98% chance of not being in a coma or having a serious illness. If she is between the ages of 70 and 105, she has a 94.6% chance of beating COVID without any significant issues. Nancy Pelosi probably would do anything in the world to be in office, which is why we're going to, if it is my prediction that we will see a Nancy Pelosi presidency. And that is because we're going to have a constitutional crisis, and we're not going to know who our president is by Inauguration Day, which is just going to be, man, I keep saying this. I keep saying the violence that we saw in the wake of the death of George Floyd, or in the wake of the death of Breonna Taylor, or any of these other high-profile police-involved incidents where terrorist groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter tear apart our cities with little to no threat of arrest or prosecution due to cowardly police command staffs who handcuff their officers and won't allow them to do their job. If you think that was bad, like last night was like literally a walk in the park. That's pretty much what they were doing, was taking walks in the park. There was a bunch of arrests. We did hear that. We did witness it. The State Patrol did arrest people after they told them this is an unlawful gathering and you need to disperse now or you're going to be arrested. And then they followed up with their promise. And they said, okay, everybody on the ground, you're all under arrest. And then there were some clowns climbing on cars and trying to climb fences, and there was some incendiary devices and things like that, smaller scale. But if you think that the 3rd precinct burning down and most of the south side of Minneapolis being on fire and people being kicked and dragged to the ground in places like Kenosha, Wisconsin, and Baltimore, and Houston, and Los Angeles, and Portland, and Seattle, if you think that what we have seen now is violent, this is a 1 on a scale of 10 where we are going to be if we end up in a constitutional crisis in this country, and I predict that we're going to. And I keep saying that we're at the apex of this war, and I really believe that. And I also keep warning you guys on the Relentless Truth Seeker Squad, don't waste all your ammo when that happens, because the real enemy will be then to follow. And these might be all conspiracy theories, and I hope that they're all disproven. I really do. I hope that I'm 100% wrong, because I do not wish that for my kids. And they are who I have in mind when I envision the future. Because, I'm not approaching the age group where I'm going to be significantly affected if I get COVID. But I do a dangerous job at work, and I'm hoping not to do that for much longer either. But I do a dangerous job, and we do live in it's an unpredictable world. And I could have an underlying health condition that I don't even know about. I could be sitting here doing this radio show, an aneurysm could burst at the base of my brain, and it's lights out. You just don't know when your time is up. I'm a God-fearing man, and I trust that when it's my time to go, that I'll be ready for it. Although nobody wants to die, it's inevitable. Everybody's going to. I don't remember where I was going with this.
I don't know, but we should probably have something a little pick me up here.
A little pick me up.
Yeah, well, we don't want to talk about death anymore, I'm sure.
People are going to die, and it's never easy to go through, and it sucks. It really does. The fact of the matter is that we're living now. And because we're living now, you should look to, like you said, to brighter skies. You should look to do things that kind of take your mind off of it, or look to be a part of the change that will stop those things.
Exactly.
Run for office. Be involved with the political process. Say no to these people that support this. It is no secret that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support this disruption. They support defunding your police. They don't condemn these rioters. They don't condemn Antifa. They don't condemn Black Lives Matter as a group. The philosophy in and of itself, if somebody comes up to you, Richard, and says, hey, Black Lives Matter, what's your response going to be?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right, they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Will I ever donate $1 to the terrorist organization Black Lives Matter? Absolutely not. Okay, so moving on from death and talking more about the upcoming debate that is scheduled for the president and the former vice president coming up. It is now being talked about by the Biden campaign that they believe the debate should be done virtually. Trump has just said, I'm not going to waste my time with a virtual debate. To you, as a viewer, would you even tune into a virtual debate between Trump and Biden?
I don't think so, because isn't this debate supposed to be a town hall format anyway, where U.S. citizens have not the right, but are afforded the opportunity to ask questions of the candidates, and then they have to answer them?
How much of that, by the way, do you think is scripted, and how many of them are actual, real, average Americans like Richard Leonard and Stu Peters that our question gets selected and read to the sitting president, or to what's his name, the girl sniffing boob toucher?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I'm going to say that on this one, I'm just going to assume that ignorance is bliss, and I'm going to say that, they're real people. At least I hope. That's my hope.
Going back to whether or not you would actually watch it, if it was a virtual debate, do you think it's even worth having this happen?
No, I don't. I think a virtual debate is stupid. Why not? Why not do it in person? Because Trump had COVID? Well, guess what? 5 of the people that you probably were standing in line with at Walmart that were eating their boogers and scratching their butt cracks at the top of their jeans probably had COVID too. So who gives a crap? Go do the debate.
Well, he is in the high risk category. By the way, both of these guys, Trump and Biden, are the oldest candidates to ever run for president. And then obviously, so of course, whoever gets inaugurated will be the oldest president ever to be inaugurated. And for me, Trump is not your average 74-year-old. When you look at 74-year-old people, you don't imagine Trump. And when I look at Trump, it doesn't even come across, wow, he's 74 years old. The guy's never had a drop to drink in his life. He's in relatively good shape. I mean, look at this guy. He beat COVID in 3 days and was now talking about, he just tweeted that he feels like he could have a rally today and he might just do that. And so
he's never had a drop of alcohol in his life?
Never had a drop of alcohol ever in his life.
Holy crap.
Yep. So,
Can you imagine?
No, I know. No, I cannot. I really enjoy drinking. I do. And, I do everything that I can to keep it under control. Sometimes it gets a little out of control, but I'm human. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to tell you that there aren't times where I'm like, I wake up in the morning and I say, God, I did not mean to get that drunk last night. But you know what? Things happen and you start having fun. And I think a lot of it is, too, you try to take your mind off of it. And a shrink will tell you that's the worst thing in the world that you could do is drink to get rid of your problems or drink to numb the pain or drink to not think about, well, you know what? Bullshit. Because that's what everybody does. I drink to have fun. I drink to get intoxicated. I like to get buzzed. I don't drive when I'm drunk. And, I just, I try to, I don't know.
And despite what the doctors say, you can't drink away your problems. Bullshit. You can for about 6 hours of an evening before you go to sleep.
When you wake up the next day, your problems are still there. You're not going to get rid of them. And the problems probably hurt even a little bit worse at that point. But, hey, the reason my head is down here is because I'm looking at messages that I'm getting about the October 25th deal. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow on the show. October 25th, you and I are going to be in Waldorf, Minnesota at JR's Barn. And there's going to be a lot of other big speakers there. It's going to be a great event. So we're going to give you more details on this tomorrow because I got to look more at this. But what we want to talk about happening now is the day after tomorrow on Saturday at 10 a.m. The Red Wave, and you gotta get involved with that. I know that you have military service, and of course that's a valid excuse. You'll get the note. You'll be excused from that. Make sure that you go over to either the Minnesota Conservatives Facebook group or to Rocky Stucci Media, and you'll see the event for the Red Wave Convoy, which starts on Saturday at 10 a.m. sharp. So if you're there at 10:05, the convoy is going to be gone. I'm going to guess that you'll probably still see it, though, because we're anticipating 400 to 1,000 cars are going to be involved with this thing. But Trump flags, American flags, Betsy Ross flags, anything that represents patriotism to you, because that's what this is about, and it's about turning Minnesota red. We have to do that. Minnesota has got to go red, and anything that we can do to make that happen, I'm all about it. So the Red Wave Convoy, more details and specifics about the exact start location are going to be on Facebook tomorrow, Friday, on Rocky Stucci's Facebook page. This show just went by way too fast. Richard, your final words.
Get out with the meatball this weekend. Join the convoy. It'd be great.
Also, make sure that you get over to Law Dog Coffee. Get over there.
The Warrior Blend.
The Warrior Blend. Or whatever blend. Use the code PC Radio. More PC Radio tomorrow at 4. See you later.
The enemy of progressive politicians and politically correct assholes. PC Radio. Worldwide at thepcradioshow.com.